All guests on Zaslow Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba, European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. I mean, how else am I going to be enjoying the Royal Rumble Saturday night? I'll be on the couch in the Zaslow Mansion family room with a nice cold Johnny Cuba in hand. Make sure you always drink responsibly, and don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. And joining us now, we got our pal Brad Gilmore, the Hall of Fame with Booker T, reality of wrestling, of course, as well. And tomorrow night, pretty much right after Royal Rumble ends, 10 p.m. Eastern, the Hall of Fame with Booker T and Brad Gilmore is back on ESPN Radio. There you go, with the 5-time WCW champion. Brad, always great to have you on the show. Tomorrow feels, Royal Rumble is always exciting, but just, I think WWE is the biggest, and I lived through the Attitude Era, all right?
Yeah.
I was a teenager. I think it is the biggest it's ever been right now. It is the absolute height of the popularity, and tomorrow's show feels like it is going to be a spectacle.
You're absolutely right. Look, I became a fan in the Attitude Era. 98, Stone Cold Steve Austin. It was the top of the top. It was the biggest roster they ever had, the most talent they ever had. WCW was going strong. But right now, there's nothing like being a WWE fan, and I agree with you. The Royal Rumble, look, WrestleMania is a spectacle. We know WrestleMania is a spectacle. It's the big matches. It's over the top. It's 100,000 people over 2 nights or whatever it is now. But the Royal Rumble, I think, is every fan's true favorite event, because of the prestige that comes along with it, the excitement. It starts off the road to WrestleMania. This is postseason basketball, right? This is postseason baseball. Royal Rumble really starts off the playoffs for professional wrestling and the WWE, obviously, in particular. And the Rumble is, you just always excited of who's going to come out next. And now we get 2 Rumble matches per show. I can't wait.
I don't remember a year where we go and let's, specifically the men's Royal Rumble. There are so many candidates to win. You could see them going in a bunch of different directions.
So it's funny you say that. I was just having this conversation with Booker the other day. Is most years you go, oh, okay, like who's in it? Reigns and Batista. Okay, yeah, Batista's probably going to win. Or, Cena's in it. Cena's going to win. I am agreeant with you as far as you have no clue. I think money right now is heading to CM Punk's direction. But to me, John Cena has to be a clear favorite. This is his final Royal Rumble of all time. Is this a time where they try to really make the next superstar and have somebody like LA Knight go out there and get the job done? You have past Rumble winners like Rey Mysterio in the mix. Seth Rollins, I think, is kind of a sleeper pick that people really aren't considering, and I think could be a strong candidate for it. I do see it coming down to Seth Rollins, CM Punk, John Cena as the final 3. That's the only thing I can tell you for sure in my mind. Who wins? Who the hell knows?
I've been saying for months now, before Cena cut the promo on Raw debut on Netflix, which, man, what a great promo. But I've been saying for months, Cena. The crowd would just go ape shit if Cena wins it. Cena vying for the world record at WrestleMania would be amazing. But I might change my pick here, Brad, before tomorrow night. I'm starting to lean toward Jey Uso. The Royal Rumble helps, elevate a star to, a superstar. I don't know that anyone is as hot as Jey Uso is. And I think there's still some meat left on the Jey Uso Gunther story. If Jey Uso were to win the Rumble in Indianapolis, the crowd goes crazy. And then if he were to win the championship at WrestleMania, I might change my pick to Jey Uso, Brad.
I like Jey Uso as it. And here's the thing. I think that sometimes you're a victim of timing because Jey Uso is so over right now, and he has been for the last year and a half, maybe even 2 years. But I was at the last USA Network Monday Night Raw. It was here in Houston. I was there 3 rows back, and I saw the scene in person when Jey Uso comes out, and the unison and the vibe and the energy. And going into Saturday night's main event, I knew that they weren't going to pull the trigger on him right there. But I do feel after that match, you're like, if they don't do it now, when will they? And by the time the timing, quote unquote, works out, Will it be pastime? I agree with you. Now, does he win the Royal Rumble? I would love to see it. Jey Uso trained at Reality of Wrestling, so I'd love to root for my own
I don't
guy.
think I knew that.
Yeah. Both Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, trained with Reality of Wrestling. Obviously, their dad has his own pedigree in the professional wrestling business. They're part of the Samoan dynasty, so obviously that they have that. But there's something about Booker and the Samoans have a very close relationship. Umaga obviously lived here in the city of Houston. His son, Zilla Fatu, wrestles for us now. Jacob Fatu came through Reality of Wrestling as well. So long lineage of Samoan professional athletes coming through Reality of Wrestling. But I'd love to see Jey do it. But if Jey doesn't do it at Royal Rumble, you still got Elimination Chamber. I do agree with you. The match should be Jey Uso, Gunther, WrestleMania 41. And can you imagine the pop? We're talking Road Warrior 88, 89 level pop if Jey Uso can get the job done at the stadium in Las Vegas. Oh, it would be a sight to see.
See, everything you just said right there is one of the reasons, as I've gotten a little bit older, you look at pro wrestling a little bit differently than you did when you were younger. Really, when I was growing up, it was about, I want my guy to win. If my guy doesn't win the match, then it's a disaster. If you get older now, it's about the moments. It's about being a part of the moments. That's what makes pro wrestling these days. And when it comes to, going to sporting events, you travel, you're going to support your team, you spend a ton of money, your team loses, like that to me that's not a good time to me if I spend all that money and I travel and my team loses. But you spend all the money and you travel and you go to a big WWE show like the Royal Rumble, it's totally in their control to make sure that everyone in attendance has an amazing time and goes home really happy. And that's one of the things that I've grown to appreciate and love as I've gotten older about WWE is they're going to do everything in their power to make sure we all get the big moment and have the best night.
You're absolutely right. That's the great thing about being able to control the outcomes is you can also control the emotions of the crowd. At least you try to, and that's the whole goal of professional wrestling. But with the Royal Rumble itself, you have such an opportunity to launch a star and to create excitement heading into what is your biggest show of the year. And to me, this year's Royal Rumble, if you do think about, okay, let's move off Jey Uso for a second. Let's move to CM Punk because there's a lot of chatter about Punk getting the job done. If you can think about his story, 2014 Royal Rumble, he walks out afterward, leaves the company, done with WWE forever, litigates against the company, lawsuits are filed, goes to work for the competition, comes back, and his first match back was the 2024 Royal Rumble, 10 years after his absence. He gets hurt. He gets injured. He gets put on the shelf. He was supposed to get his WrestleMania main event against Seth Rollins. They didn't have that main event until Raw on Netflix, right? But it wasn't for the World Championship. For CM Punk to go out there and you have Punk versus Cody potentially for the world title or Punk versus Gunther for the world title, there's a lot of story there too. But for me, Zaz, John Cena either winning the Royal Rumble or winning the Elimination Chamber and having the story in his final WrestleMania, he can break the record and then he doesn't break the record.
See, that right there has been my thought, is that he's going to win Rumble or maybe it's Elimination Chamber. That's the story, going for the all-time record of WrestleMania, but I don't think he would win it. I think he'd come up short.
I think he comes up short, but then what does that do for us as the fans? It makes us want to see him get it even more. Because where's the intrigue in his year run coming to an end if he wins the championship at WrestleMania? That then to me, it's like, okay, now it's just like kind of a goodbye tour as opposed to what's going to hook us in and make us be invested and not just
seeing the chase. We want the chase.
And to me, rest in peace, the legend Kobe Bryant. What we wanted to see in that last moment of him is him be Kobe. We wanted to see him be Kobe on the court. And what did Kobe do? He hit 60. But if you remember, the last play of Kobe Bryant's professional career was an assist, which is kind of very funny when you think about Kobe and his legacy. Threw an assist as his last play. And that's what you do in wrestling. You have your big moment, winning the 17th world title. But that last match, you give the assist, you do the honors, you allow somebody else to take on the torch. And for John Cena to be able in his final match to go in as a world champion and then to do the honors, as we say in the business, look up at the lights and anoint the next guy, the next John Cena. That's how I would write the end of the story. But I don't think that it happens at the Royal Rumble or at WrestleMania.
What a great comparison, Brad. That's an excellent analogy you made right there. Do you have any clue what's going to happen in the women's Royal Rumble? I got no idea.
I have no idea either, which again makes me excited. Bianca Belair starting to heat up as a potential contender. Charlotte Flair's in there. I think a lot of us on paper think Charlotte Flair, Tiffany Stratton, WrestleMania, women's title makes a lot of sense. I know there's a little bit of Charlotte fatigue at times from fans of like, man,
I
we
love
see
her.
but she's so phenomenal. Like that's the thing too, is like, I just appreciate greatness when I see it. And yes, sometimes if you're as elite as Charlotte Flair is, you're going to be in the main event scene in a lot of situations. You're going to win a lot of championships because she really is like her dad or like a John Cena. That is what she is for the women's division. But I would love for them to just throw a curveball and go with somebody we didn't see coming. Somebody new. Let's launch a career. Roxanne Perez. Let's make Roxanne Perez the winner and really shock the world in one night and be able to anoint that next huge star. Personally, that's what I like to see. I'm a big Roxanne Perez fan, obviously. Her coming from Reality of Wrestling, too. I've seen this girl grow up since she was 15. So that'd be a great moment for me personally. But with the Women's Royal Rumble, I feel like every year, though, Zaz, is kind of wide open. We saw Bayley last year probably doing it. We knew Becky one year was going to do it. Every other year, it's like, who knows? And who knows who they're going to bring back? I think that we're going to see Nikki Bella in the Royal Rumble. There's a lot of talk around her coming back to the company and having a farewell run. I could definitely see that happening. And that's what I also love about the women. I think we also see Jordynne Grace make her debut after signing a WWE contract. I think maybe we see the TNA Knockouts champion, Marsha Slamovich, coming into the Royal Rumble now that NXT and NXT and TNA have that working relationship and it's been formalized. I think there's a lot you can do with the women's Royal Rumble, but Bianca Belair is the favorite right now. I don't know if that's the route I would go personally, because some people want to see her and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania for the world title. Right. That would be amazing, obviously. I think that there's something going on with the Jade Cargill of it all that might prevent that.
I think we're going to advance that story tomorrow night. I think Jade returns, and we're going to find something out about Jade and Bianca. I will tell you.
Well, because remember real quick, the last year's Royal Rumble where Jade made her debut, what was the big moment? Her and Bianca facing off, but never touching. Yeah. Right. And then they go on to tag. Yeah. And then if you could play that full circle, beautiful moment.
If I have to pick for tomorrow night, I think there's a chance Jordynne Grace wins it. You crown her immediately as a big-time superstar, which she's going to be anyway.
She's going to be.
I mean, wouldn't the money be in Jordynne Grace challenging Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania?
Now you're making my spider senses tingle. You're making them tingle a little bit, because Jordynne Grace is another person who is just a phenomenal competitor. There's a lot made of her look and her presence, as it should be, because she is thick mama pump. And if she can go in there against Rhea Ripley, who in a lot of ways there's been comparisons to China for Rhea Ripley. And I understand the comparisons, because I believe that she could kick any woman's ass. She could kick any man's ass. She could definitely kick my ass. And so I believe in what she can do. I believe in Rhea Ripley, and her versus Jordynne Grace makes a compelling match for WrestleMania. And that's what you want. You want people to buy into something that's like, wow, I really don't know the outcome of this. This is the quote Gorilla Monsoon, immovable force meeting the untouchable object, invincible object, or whatever it was. And I like that. And that's going back to my Roxanne Perez point. That's, like you said, making a star in the first night. Lots been made of Jordynne Grace coming into the company. Why not capitalize on it?
Do you have a favorite Royal Rumble moment, maybe growing up as a fan?
Oh, wow. I mean, there's been so many over the years. I always love the surprises. 2023 was a great personal one for me, because that's when Booker came back in the Royal Rumble and had his little brief dalliance with Gunther. But I think that personally, my favorite moment was being at the 2016 Royal Rumble at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, and seeing a Royal Rumble that featured guys like Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and The Undertaker, and Randy Orton all in the same match, and being able to do the countdown in person with the people. The 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you're there in the building, it just is so much fun. And that's what you were talking about earlier. WWE being able to generate that kind of energy and generate that emotion and generate that excitement like other sports definitely can at their best moments, but can't do 52 weeks a year.
It's a different animal when you're at the show in a stadium. I've
Yeah.
been to Royal Rumble 3 times. The third was last year. Cody wins, of course, Tropicana Fields. My first time at Royal Rumble in a stadium. And we were me and my son were on the floor. We got decent enough seats. We could see perfect. Being on the floor with the crowd around you in a stadium for a show like Royal Rumble, unbelievable experience.
Let me add on to that because it popped in my head as you were talking. The 2020 Royal Rumble was here in Houston. It was actually the last big stadium
Last
show
one before
before the
COVID.
pandemic.
Yeah.
And Drew McIntyre won that night, but it was also the night that Edge returned. And I was
Yeah.
with my friend Kyle Hubbard, who were a lifelong wrestling fan like me, and we turned into like 12-year-olds whenever Edge's music hits. And we're like, oh, is this really what is going on? Oh my God, Edge is back, and that's what the Rumble can generate. That's what the Rumble can generate. It's why it's my favorite show.
It's that Rumble 2020 is my I think is the second greatest Rumble. I think the greatest is 1992 Ric Flair, tear in my eye. That's the greatest. But 2020 it was a perfect Royal Rumble with Brock Lesnar eliminating the first 14 guys. When is this going to end? Enough already. And then McIntyre comes in, who was a heel, by the way, still at the time. Mm-hmm. McIntyre comes in, and the way that he was eliminated, I mean, Brad, that crowd, the pop for McIntyre eliminating Lesnar, unbelievable, right?
It was huge, and to be there in person, it was massive. It was a massive, massive moment, and then even him winning there at the end, I felt like, wow, I just saw what we've been talking about this whole segment. I just saw a star anointed. I saw in one night Drew McIntyre be legitimized, and I was like, this guy's going to go on a hell of a run. And you know what? Best of circumstances, made the best out of his circumstances. He had a great run as the WWE champion in the COVID era. I think he was really the MVP of that COVID era, trying to carry that title and make it mean something. I'm glad that he got his WrestleMania moment last year at WrestleMania 40. But yeah, that's what the Rumble can do. It can give you those moments. And I agree with you. Watching it in person and seeing Brock eliminate one after another, it actually booked Brock in a perfect way. And Brock's so smart to the business, and he knew when I get eliminated by Drew, this place is going to go crazy.
Yeah. Amazing night tomorrow night. It's going to be 6 p.m. Eastern, Royal Rumble. And then pretty much right when Royal Rumble's ending, 10 p.m. Eastern time, the Hall of Fame, Brad Gilmore, Booker T. You'll have full reaction to the Rumble on ESPN Radio. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and you know what? Who better to talk about it than a man who's been in multiple Royal Rumbles and been at the top of the top, been in this WrestleMania season a bunch, Booker T. And then, of course, I'll be there as well to fill in with whatever insight that I have, which isn't much. And also, you're going to be joining us on the air.
Yeah, I'm excited. That'll be really fun. And we'll do some reaction with what I think is going to be such an amazing night. And how great is the timing, by the way, because there's no football this weekend. That's right. Give us the Royal Rumble. Help us pass the time.
Give us the Rumble. You can have your little big game next weekend. Okay. This is our big game this weekend. It's the kickoff to WrestleMania season. And you know what? Still, because I know sometimes we look over it on the night of the Rumble, but KO and Cody Rhodes should be something for the ages.
Brad, I think Kevin Owens can win.
You know what? I would kind of like it. I thought it was going to happen at the Saturday Night's Main Event, and then Cody would win it back by Rumble because Kevin Owens, he is such an MVP, and the fact that he had one world title run like almost 10 years ago and hasn't had one since is ridiculous because he is an immense, one-of-a-kind, generational talent. He does everything right. He does everything great. Promos are great. Character's great. In-ring psychology is great. His physical ability is great. His everything that you want from a professional wrestler, it is Kevin Owens. And he checks every box. I would love to see him be at the top of the mountain again. I don't know, though. I just feel like WrestleMania and Cody Rhodes holding on to it for a year just feels like what's going to happen. But look, WrestleMania is still in April. We're at the end of January, beginning of February. So there's a lot that can happen.
Brad, excellent job as always, man. Enjoy the Rumble tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to talking to you tomorrow night on the Hall of Fame on ESPN Radio.
Appreciate the invite as always, and we're looking forward to having you on, man.